A very good morning to class 12 students. Uh, it's economic subject and the topic is demand. I'll continue with the topic of demand. Today I need to discuss with you demand curve. In my last video I explained to you what is a demand schedule. Okay, so demand curve simply is a graphic representation of the law of demand. If we have a demand schedule and we plot it on a graph, we get a demand curve. Okay, so as you know, graph, just a moment. I'll make a graph now over here. Here's your y-axis, okay, origin, and here's your x-axis. So price we keep on the y-axis and quantity demanded on the x-axis. Quantity demanded, as you can see, we keep on the x-axis. Okay, now it'll denote basically demand, a law of demand in a graphic, in the form of a graph. Now you know law of demand, what it says: if the price will rise, the quantity demanded will fall. Quantity demanded will fall. Okay, so let's say the price is over here at this point. Without putting numbers, I'm just denoting the place where the original price is. This is P0, so it's low. At P0 price, the quantity demanded is over here, it's more. So I'm denoting it with Q0. Putting a ruler here, making a dotted line, and then putting the ruler horizontally. If we join, I'm doing it roughly. If you do it on the graph paper with ruler, you get the point over here. Okay. Now price rises from P0, OP0 to, let's say, the next price level is P1. Okay. So when the price rises, people will find it, the product, to be costly, and therefore what will happen to the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded will fall. So I'm showing it with an inward pointing arrow on the x-axis. Let's say Q1 is the next quantity. OQ1 is the quantity demanded at price OP1. So putting your ruler at P1 and horizontally, then at Q1 vertically, and making a dotted line. Here's the point where they are meeting. Okay. Let's say price rises further. From OP1, it rises further as indicated by upward pointing arrow, and here's P2. Okay, प्राइस और बढ़ गया, P2 पे आ गया. So the अब तो और महंगा हो गया, तो what will happen to the quantity? Quantity demanded, let's say, I'm denoting over here the lack of space, Q2, it's shrinking. Quantity demanded is still less. So putting the ruler vertically, I am making a dotted line from Q, this is Q2 basically, and putting the ruler horizontally at P2, I make a dotted line and I get this point. Okay, if I join these points, yeah, I get a demand curve D. So demand curve, as you can see, this kind of it's sloping downwards towards the right. This kind of demand curve is called negative slope. So the demand curve, we say, has a downward slope, it has a negative slope. Now demand curves can also be of two types, just like demand schedules. Children, if you plot on the graph individual demand schedule, you will obtain an individual demand curve. Okay, and if you plot on the graph the market demand curve, the market demand schedule, you will obtain a market demand curve. That you can do. I've just explained you the example. Now again, it's going to look the same. Why? Here's the price, here's the quantity, I'm just writing in short. So when you're going to plot the individual demand schedule, the demand curve you'll obtain is like this only. That you can do. With the figure, same thing. When you know what is a market demand schedule, in one table we write the price, and in the second column we wrote uh, the quantity demanded by all the consumers, not one consumer, but by all the consumers, by adding up the quantity demanded by all the consumers. If you remember the example of apples. So here also, here's the price and here's the quantity demanded in short. And when you plot the market demand, quantity demanded by the all the consumers by the whole market, again you're going to get a demand curve like this, negative slope. Okay, now we proceed basically now